You have entered into the black hole of real estate, a place for industry news, tips, and strategies. Once you enter into our vortex, even if you could leave, you're probably going to want to stick around. I'm your host, Ron Weiss-Sikarski, and you are now entering the black hole of real estate. Well, 2021 is off to an absolutely amazing start, and I've got a few things that I want to talk about today that I think will definitely benefit you. The multiple offer situations that we're seeing right now, they're taking on an even higher level of importance, and there's some changes in there. The taxes are now being filed for U.S. citizens. That started, I believe, last Friday. So there's going to be some fresh money out there not too long from now. And then at the end, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Zillow monster, because last week they bought showing time, and I know that a few people had their feathers ruffled about their latest acquisition. So let's begin. We are in historic low inventory situations locally as well as across the country. We see in our condo market that the number of condos available is down 30% from last year at this time. And if you want a little sliver of hope, inventory was increased by 15 condos between December of 2020 and January of 2021. So 15. That means in 20, 30 months, we'll be up to last year's number if all holds true. So that's not going to get the inventory situation back where it needs to be anytime soon. I can tell you that some of the people that were concerned, and I'll just say for COVID reasons, not going on the market and not listing their properties, well, some are coming out, and it's mainly because the prices have gone up so much. I mean, more than 25% in the last 12 months, that the financial temptation is lingering out there, and they see results in their buildings. So I do believe more inventory will be on the way, and those that are adopting, earlier than the others will probably reap the largest benefits at some point. It would make sense that some of this market would cool off a little bit. Not a retracement of prices, but maybe just not going up every month. Maybe for a couple of months, that's something that is in the offing. Now, what else can we be doing to help our clients? And let's say that you represent a buyer, or you are a buyer, and you're trying to figure out, what do we have to do to succeed in this market? How do we win and stop losing? I mean, we've talked to people, they've lost out on 4, 5, 10 properties, and it's not that they're necessarily being outbid, although that ultimately is what's happening. It's the way they're doing it. In this market, if it's less than 15 days on the market and you're coming in below the asking price, it's a recipe for not getting the property. Now, you have to understand pricing and you have to understand value. But if it's amazing to you at the listing price, it is almost certainly amazing to somebody else at that very same price. After 15, 20 days, it's probably cooled off where you can come in below the asking price. And so if you do not feel it's worth the listing price, let it ride for a couple of weeks. And let's see if the rest of the market feels the same way. And maybe then you could get it below the listing price, but it's not happening much before that right now. Now, if you are inclined to want that property, it is the amazing property that you feel that it's going to be, your future home for the foreseeable future, then absolutely, write that offer. And if you're going to be writing that offer, let's face it, we've had so many situations where there's been multiple offers. As a lot of people didn't get the house. They're competing just like you are. And they may have lost just as many or more properties as you. And at some point, they're going to dial it in and they're going to succeed and do something a little more extraordinary than the one they didn't get the time before. There is a proliferation of escalator clauses right now. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get it. It just means you'll escalate. So if you offer, and we had this the other day on a $500,000 property, but if it could be $250,000 or $100,000, it doesn't matter the price. The highest escalator did not get the property simply because the terms were not favorable to the seller, and they can pick the best offer for them. There's nothing that forces them to pick the highest offer. So let's boil it down to like a $250,000 price point. That's about our median right now. If it's an offer with 100% finance or small, a small down payment, 5% or less, that buyer is probably not likely to survive the loan process if the appraisal comes in a little bit short. And we are definitely in a situation where appraisals, well, they're always in jeopardy, so to speak, but right now, particularly, the market is rising sharply. And I would believe over the next 6 to 8 weeks, there's going to be some appraisal issues. I think it dissipates 8 weeks down the road because the new batch of sales coming in will then support the new level of pricing. But there is a big jump with the escalators right now. Here's what happens. Let's suppose that you're offered at $250 and you have a super, low down payment, under 5%. That means that if it comes in appraised at, let's say, $245, your loan is then going to be based on $245 and 5% of that. The problem is that's going to be about $12,000. There's a missing $5,000. And it has to get added to your down payment. So what that looks like at the $245 range is you're going to make a little over $12,000 down payment. Plus the missing $5,000 because it appraised too low. You're up to $17,000 down payment. Now you're going to have less to pay back over time. So your loan's, it's just a bigger down payment. And you're going to have to factor in that, if you're compromised on closing costs, you could be in a tough situation. A buyer that's putting 20, 30, 40% down, they can more easily absorb the differential in the event that the appraisal is a little bit low. And I'm not suggesting all appraisals are low or anybody's cooking the books. I'm just saying with rapid escalation, there may not be a recent comp in that vicinity within that 1 to 2 mile radius that would suggest that the pricing is on par. But we know in the market of the moment that buyers are willing to pay exceedingly high numbers. If you know in your heart that the property is worth $250 or $260 or whatever that is, and you make the offer and you can absorb that, you're buying today at a price that may not appraise, knowing tomorrow that's absolutely going to be the new mark for the neighborhood. And 3 months from now, it may be a deal. I have seen many times where we've had difficulty getting the property appraised in the first 30, 45 days, only to find out that a recent comp comes in within a week of closing that supports that value that we can get back to the appraisers for consideration. So even if you're purchasing a $250,000 listed property today for $255 through escalation, by the time you close, $255 may absolutely be a bargain and you'll be in the house. Try to wrap your head around that. Well, that's what's going on right now. So with the escalation clauses, what it really says is I'm willing to pay $250 for your property, and I'm willing to go up to $255, let's say, by beating the next possible offer by $1,000 or some other number up to $255. So what that means is if there's evidence of another offer, they would have to show you that they've got that offer at $252. You would escalate to $253, and that could be your property. Now keep in mind, the seller can look and say, well, somebody's got a down payment below 5%, or they have a 40% down payment. The seller may feel that the other, the offer with the bigger down payment is more likely to survive through the end of the contract, and they may choose that to be the best offer and terms in combination. And that is a scenario where somebody with a smaller down payment may offer up to $255, but somebody at a lower price could get that property. So it's something to watch out for. As far as the one kicker right now is appraisal contingencies. A lot of appraisal contingencies are getting in the way. A seller with 5, 6 offers does not want to renegotiate after the appraisal comes in. So I would simply suggest if you're going this deep and you have the ability to do it, then if you remove the appraisal contingency, you still have a financing contingency. So if you're denied a loan, you still don't have to go through it. But for some people, a $20,000 down payment versus a $25,000 isn't a big deal to them as long as they get the right house. It may or may not be for you. But those are the things that we see in multiple offers right now. The two biggest levers on the buy side are escalators and appraisal contingencies being waived. You still have inspection period, most likely. You may have a financing contingency. This is absolutely a place where cash is king and can win the day. So that's a lot on the multiple offers. But it's real, and it's live, and it's not stopping. I do want to mention that taxes are now being filed. So if you were in the market or thinking of getting in the market, your tax refund can be a big benefit to you for your down payment, for your closing costs. It also means your taxes are done, so you can refresh that pre-qualification with your lender. And if you haven't done that in a while, why not dust that thing off? When a lot of people got pre-qualified 3 or 6 months ago, the rates were higher. You may actually qualify for more money based on the lower interest rate. You may also qualify for a more expensive home based on your newest tax return. If you made more money than last year and you have fewer debts, chances are you will qualify for a higher purchase price on your property, and the lower interest rate could push it even higher. So think about that when you go to your CPA. Make sure you're checking all of your numbers, and after that, get that over to your lender. Say, hey, can I qualify for more? Because rates are lower now than when I first spoke with you as a lender, and my tax return is better. Not everybody is aware of that, so I want to point that out. This is a great time. Get your taxes done quickly if you can, and get it right over to your lender. That could be all the difference in winning in a multiple offer situation. So the last thing I want to talk about is Zillow. And Zillow could be the monster under the bed or the monster, the 10,000-pound gorilla in the room, or whatever that is. But last week they made another acquisition, and they made a string of these, and I'm sure there's more coming down the road. But they bought Showing Time, and if you're not familiar with what that is, it's a showing booking service that more and more real estate boards are using. In essence, when you call into Showing Time, they're going to verify the licensed agent, make sure they have an active brokerage license, and they're going to set a time to view the property. Showing Time will call the sellers of the property and confirm the time, and so it's all done third party. As an agent, when you have 30, 40 showings, your whole day is out the window trying to book showings and coordinate things, and that's why a lot of people will use a showing service to book appointments and times, and it seems to be working out pretty well. The concern is, now that Zillow bought it, is it's one more piece of data that they get to take a peek at. So not only is Zillow looking to increase their share of the market in many, many ways, but now they actually can see, they see the listings, they joined all the real estate boards, they can see all the IDX feeds, they can see all the raw data. They're not syndicated anymore, they're using that data. Now they can see, they own the company, they're privy to seeing how the showings are being booked and when they're being booked. It's not a stretch of my imagination to find an integration. Hey, go to Zillow, click on a property, book a showing, and have it confirmed through Showing Time for an agent to be named later. So, is there concern? Sure. This is probably not a popular opinion with every agent or every real estate board out there. But this battle was kind of fought and lost on the part of realtors a long time ago. Zillow's in the space. They're growing, gaining. They have huge capitalization right now. It's probably not a place where we can, okay, let's, there was talk of don't allow your data to be syndicated to Zillow. Well, they kind of ended that whole conversation by joining every real estate board, because now they're a brokerage. So they've got access to the feeds. They don't need the agent feeds anymore because they can have them because they're a brokerage right now. And you could probably avoid Showing Time and go to a different showing service, or you could, I guess, book it yourself, but it may not be the highest and best use of your time as an agent who's busy, trying to take care of all the other things that they do and customer needs. But someone's going to buy another one of these showing services, and they're being consumed. It may end up to be a better experience for the consumer and a pivot point for some of the agents and brokerages out there, how they're going to continue to evolve and do business. We haven't even talked about Amazon yet. But right now, Zillow was out there, and they're doing a good job. Whether you like it or not, they're doing a good job. And if you're concerned about Zillow, what do you think we're going to do when Google and Amazon get in the space? It's all about awesome customer service and push a button and get everything on demand. And it's racing towards that. I'm not suggesting everybody run out and get a Zillow contract and join forces with Zillow. But railing against them or fighting something that is probably inevitable, well, talk to the people at Blockbuster and how it worked out with Netflix. At some point, you can't hold back the tidal wave that's coming in, and it's happening right now. Embrace it, pivot, move to the next market where you need to be is all I can say if you're in the real estate space. And if you're a consumer, you almost have to be loving it because you're getting more service, more information, and more data than you've ever gotten before. Now, the price to be paid is it's going lightning fast because everybody else has it too, and it's a driver of this market. All right, hope you enjoyed this episode. This is Ron Wysokarski for the Black Hole of Real Estate.